Hey, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
I hope you're having an easygoing morning. And like, there's so much stuff going on the Launchpad. Like, it feels like you're at work all the time. But it's nice to have you all here. And thanks for joining me on Sunday. Geez, there's a lot of light rooms. It's really nice. It's nice to see. It must be sunshine in England.
Yeah.
Oh no, Daisy's shaking her head. I heard
No,
from
no.
other
Just
people there
by the
was
window.
sunshine. Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. What we're going to do today is I'm going to run you through a little workshop about remote working, and it's all based on some of my experiences and things that I've learned over the last couple of weeks from talking to 10 people who run businesses, and their teams they run remotely. So I've kind of learned a bunch of insights from two sides of the fence, from those who are employees with companies working in remote teams, and those who run their own businesses and they get other people to help them around the world to make the machine work for them. So what I thought I might do is I'm going to have a little presentation that and we're going to jump in and out of that from time to time. So I'm going to get you guys to do some things in between and encourage you to kind of collaborate and have chats and things like that. So and I'll introduce you to some tools and try to give you a sense of like the big picture of remote working and what it means to work online, because it's a very, people used to Skype. It's a very different environment working online than it is being in the office, and there are a lot of benefits, but there are some disbenefits that come with it as well, depending on the nature of the kind of person you are, I suppose. What I'm going to do to start off with is give you a little task to do. So I'm going to put a link into the chat box, and if you just open up this file, it's just a little document, and I want you to just answer the questions that are there. Just follow the instructions, answer the questions that are there. So just pick a spot below the line. I'll put my name here, and 1, 2, and 3. And you can just jump in anywhere you want in the document, put your name down and just answer those questions. And if you haven't already, after that, click on the link and the instructions to join the Slack group, which I've set up. Some people picked that up earlier on. Okay. So we'll just do this for 5 minutes until everybody's had a crack at filling in what you want to put in there. Hi, Olga. It's nice to see you here. If you just have a look in the chat box, you should see a link there. If you just click on the link, it'll jump you into a document. So if you just follow the instructions at the top of the document, everybody's just doing a little exercise at the moment, answering some questions. Okay, we'll give this another couple of minutes. And take your own time. You can come back and fill this in if you can't manage to get it finished right now. But during the call, you'll have time to just jump in.
David, is that link, the Slack link, the same one as the one that you sent out?
It is.
Today?
It is. It's the same. I just want to try and get everybody into a Slack group together. And what I'm doing is I'm taking everybody. There's a chat service in Zoom, and what I want to do is provide an environment where people can chat as I'm talking. In case there are things that they want to share or some ideas, or just to be connected. That's really what it's there for. So there's a channel there connecting and collaborating. And when you join, you can jump in there and you can chat amongst each other in the background while I'm nattering away. We'll just give it another minute and then we'll get this thing started properly. Nice to see Rachel join the group and Daisy. Great, good stuff. Okay. Right. Let's get started. So what I'll do is I'll be running a presentation. I'll share that on my screen and I'll take you through, have a bit of a chat, and we'll break and we'll jump into some other exercises as we go. I've been, I suppose, using my computer and remote working for about 6 years. Hi, Rachel. Nice to have you here. And I'll just get this thing started. I'll just let Rachel know now that she's joined. There's a link in the chat box, Rachel. If you click on that link, and in your time during the call, if you just answer the questions and select a spot in the document to just note down the things that, note down your responses. And okay, so I'll just, you can't see the link. So let me just put that in here for everyone. Again, there we go. So you should be able to see that, Rachel. Okay, and anybody else who's joined. Looks like this is us. So if you've got a chance to turn on your camera and join us, if you feel like it, do that. It's always nice to see your face and to get a sense of who's who. I'm David. I live in Sri Lanka. I joined the Launchpad really because I decided at the start of the year that it was time for a real shift in life. I wanted to be able to align my strengths and the things that I'm really good at. I wanted to align them with the type of work that I'm doing. And I felt like over the last few years, despite doing remote work, there wasn't a consistent thread that made me feel all of that fulfilled. So as a part of the journey, I'm feeling a lot more connected to that. And one of the things that's popped up in my ideas bank and from discussions with people like David and Rachel and others in the group is to do with community and connection. And Rachel, in fact, I wonder how the coffee thing went this morning, Rachel. Sorry I couldn't make it. It was okay, fantastic. And it's great because you can see that we're starting to come together as a community beyond just the structure of the course, and that we're all helping each other out in the background. So I'm just going to share my screen here and just give me an idea if you can see that. You can see that there? Yeah? Okay. Fantastic. I'm going to see if I can get this to work. Hold on, I'll just pop out of that for a moment. Right, so I'm just going to turn me off. You'll see my wonderful picture. Rightio. So, remote working. This is what a lot of people imagine remote working to be like, particularly with digital nomads, people who travel the world and make money through the internet as they're going. And as it happens, I've been one of those people. I've got a bunch of friends who live that lifestyle, and it's a reality. So it can be part of your dream as well, if that's really what really what attracts you. I'd like to welcome everybody and to take a moment to just take in this picture. And it's at the top of a hill in Australia. And Australia is such a wide, expansive place. There's a lot of places you can go and you hear nothing. It's so incredibly quiet. And with all of this rush and noise and everything that's been going on around us, particularly with the virus, I think it's a good moment for us to just stop and take a moment and just appreciate what's there and just be quiet. So the other day when I was out walking around the streets of Colombo, I saw a few birds around, and it really brought to me how amazing what's around us can really be if we just take a moment and to listen. And one of the things about remote working is that it really changes the way that we communicate, the way that we relate to each other. And the way that we interact. And it actually forces us into a place where we need to be a lot more aware of other people and to listen. And these things are things that kind of matter to me. Today, we're going to share some tools. We're going to try out some of these things. I'm going to introduce you to, I've already introduced you to Slack. You've just joined a channel there. We're going to have a look at Trello as well. Some of these other things are a little tech. We've just been using Google Docs and Google Drive. And for those who haven't tried, we're going to set up Zoom and to just try and play with that. We'll come to that a little bit later. So how I got into remote working, and as I've already said, it's not only about working at home, but it can be working from anywhere. Back in 2013, I was working in a corporate office in Sydney, and it took a while for the financial crisis to hit Australia, but it did, and I was laid off. And I took a wee while to think about like what really mattered to me in life, and I recognized pretty quickly that the type of work that I was doing was really affecting my health, my well-being, and that inherently I always wanted to be out and about and travel. I wanted to explore the world. So that got me into going to places like this in Australia. And my wife and I, we packed up everything and we bought a 4x4 and we spent 6 months traveling Australia, exploring not nearly enough of the place, but we got to see some pretty amazing things. This is me doing my remote work, and the first thing that I got engaged in was a program about building software businesses. And it was kind of random. And it was kind of random that I thought I'm going to travel around Australia and try and create a business out of nothing with this metal machine in my hands. But I gave it a good go, and we got to explore and see some pretty amazing things. This is me and my wife here out on the Great Barrier Reef, and in all sorts of different parts of Australia. Got to keep the flies off you there. And so there are many different ways that we can go about working remotely. We can have our own desk. We can co-share in a house and work in collaborative spaces. We can sit outside at a cafe. These are all real things that we can do nowadays. And a lot of companies operate like this nowadays. They have remote teams, and that they bring together people from around the globe to work in teams to do their business. I'm just going to pop out of the presentation and stop. And just what I'm going to do is share my screen and just show you some of these businesses, just to give you a bit of awareness about what's possible, I suppose. As a part of the Launchpad, it's nice to kind of get a sense of these different experiences and what people do. So this company here is called Basecamp. They're a project management. They provide project management software, and these guys have been running for over 10 years as a remote team. They have their staff all over the world. And they're quite inspirational as leaders in what it means to work from home, what it means to communicate amongst your team, and to also enjoy your work as well. This lady here, Barry Tesler, she runs a community about you'll see just a message there from Zoom. We're going to have to jump back in 10 minutes. But Barry runs a conscious community about money, and about how to relate to money. And she has her team all over the globe and brings together people on a year-long program about how to operate in the world consciously with money. There's this crew here, a friend of mine runs this business, it's called ZenMade. It's a software as a service business, and these guys help people build businesses for cleaning services, basically in America mainly. These guys are called the Foundation. This is the program that I joined when I started my remote journey, and they have at the time it was a 6-month program. Training people how to run, how to create software businesses, but also it's got a self-development aspect to it about mindset. There's the Best Self Company.
Question.
Yeah, sure.
Just interested. What was the work you were doing before the crash and before you threw all this in, threw it in to do the?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I was working as a civil engineer.
Okay.
And,
yeah, good.
and kind of working on major projects, designing roads and bridges
Right.
around the world. So I did that for about 12 years before I decided to jump out of the corporate game.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for asking that question, Daisy. The Best Self Company are a personal development. They run a community around personal development and productivity. And the Movement Athlete is another friend of mine who runs, it's basically a fitness community for calisthenics and bodyweight exercise. And so you can kind of get a sense that there are a lot of different things that you can do as a remote business, a lot of different businesses that you can be involved in. And this is the way the world is moving, that you no longer need to actually work in an office. I'm just going to try and bring up my presentation again. Zoom's in the way. This link's going to drop out in probably about 5 minutes, I imagine. When it does, actually, when it does, you should be able to just come in on the same link that we had, and just rejoin the call. So let me just kind of get this going again. So we had remote companies. Working from home. This is a pretty nice way to work from home, to have a nice quiet space with the things that you like around you, with not so much distraction. And one of the big problems with working from home at the moment is everybody's trying to adapt, and they have families to interact with, and it's hard to find a quiet space for yourself. But trying to design some kind of space that is yours, a place that you call your workspace or your office space, is useful. I've found that traveling and going to cafes and co-working spaces, this kind of change is counterproductive. It's always nice to find a place that's yours that you feel comfortable in. And it's about being simple, really. I try to make sure that I clear my real desktop, that I have very little other things around me but me and my computer and maybe a cuppa. Sometimes I write some notes. And it's useful to, like you would in the office at work, try to engineer things so it's a comfortable place to be. And there are these kind of fancy trestles that you can use to set your laptop up on if you don't have kind of a big monitor and that kind of setup. And these are great for traveling with as well. Reduce your distractions. You don't want people kind of coming and interrupting you. And in the home space at the moment, if you've got kids, I know it's difficult, but it's useful to try and set some boundaries, I suppose. This is what my desktop looks like sometimes, and having a virtual, cleaned up virtual space is a useful thing to have as well. When I find that when my desktop's like this, it kind of reflects the way that my mindset is. It reflects the way that I work. It can be a real distraction. It becomes hard to find things. And so what I do is I have 2 workspaces on my computer. Some people have 2 computers. They have one for just their social life and their normal life, and one for their work life. But I set up 2 virtual spaces. So this is my general accounts. This is where I come into most days. And then I have another one, that looks like this, and that's my workspace. So each day I have 2 different users, and that's how I make things work for me. And it's a good way to shift from being at home to being at work. And this can be quite a challenge when you're working remotely. Communication is a really big thing. And when you're working together as a group of people, and this is what's happening right now, everybody's having to learn about what it means to work online. The most important thing is communication. And when we're in the office at work, or just in a social space, there's a lot of communication that happens that that is unconscious, I suppose. Our body language, the way that we read people's faces, the things that are said but unsaid. And so what's useful in an online environment is to do what they call a stand-up meeting. And it's pretty much like it is here, that you get introduced to your team in the morning, and that you're all part of something together, meeting for 5 minutes in the morning to get started in the day. And we're going to lose the link in Zoom in a moment. So what I'll do now is, it's a bit disruptive, but let's jump out and then jump back in. And if we get lost along the way, I'll just post another link in the Facebook group in the Launchpad. Okay, so I'll just end this, and then we'll just jump back in to carry on with our call. Okay, I'll be with you in a moment.